All right, good evening. Welcome to another broadcast here on Samba Journeys YouTube page. So glad that you guys are here. We're going to be starting here momentarily. As usual, we're going to give people time to get on. If you're a type of person that has a TikTok mindset, in other words, hey, I clicked on it, you're not talking about the topic right now, this ain't the video for you. We're going to talk about it, and as always, we're going to get into the details. So if you're not a person about details, then this is not the place for you, okay? We're going to have a good time, and depending on how things go this evening, we may even have a call-in where you get the opportunity to call and ask pretty much whatever questions you have for me, okay? All right, so we're going to give people time to come in, give it about a little over a minute, and then we're going to get started, okay? All right, about another 30 seconds, and then we're going to get started. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for tuning in to the live broadcast. I'm just getting myself together here, and today is July the 30th, 2025. Before you know it, before we blink, it's gonna be August. We're gonna be in August, and man, it's moving, ain't it? And we are sitting here in the beautiful state of Phoenix. Wow. There's a state called Phoenix, Wayne? No, there isn't. It's called Arizona. Okay, noted. Let's do that again. Here in the beautiful state of Arizona, it is 105 degrees. So yeah, so that's pretty good. That's okay. For some folks that ain't, but it's okay. But again, it's out here, once it reaches a certain temperature, I'm not going to be hanging outside. I go and do what I need to do and keep it moving. Let's see. I am, I'm telling you, when I the other day I told you about that mister I put outside. Oh my goodness, man. It's really, man, it makes a world of difference, man. It makes a world of difference out there, especially when the temperature is out where it is today. But anyway, really good stuff. We're going to be mentioning Samba Tree in a little bit. We got some excellent testimonies I want to share with you in a little bit. And let's see, we got Sun God Empress. I'm glad you're here. But before we get into the conversation, hey, once you back off a little bit, okay, in the comments, okay? We ain't even get into 2 words yet. It looks like you got a whole sermon going on, okay? So let's back off and let's kind of listen first as we get into it. And then, yes, I would love to hear from you, okay? So let's kind of pump the brakes there a little bit, okay? Anyway, so today, yeah, we're going to talk about several things here. We're going to get into Stone Mountain. I don't understand I don't understand what the obsession is with Stone Mountain. And I'm asking this, or I'm wondering this because I'm wondering this because recently, or today, I was on TikTok. I jumped on there for a few moments, and I saw they were having another gathering up there, and I was like, "What is going on? What's going on up here?" I'll tell you about it, okay? Like I said, the thumbnail is going to make sense. The thumbnail for this video is going to make sense. We're also going to talk about is a video that my son passed on to me today. It's about, and this is on a channel that's got like 10 or 11 million subscribers. Well, they are talking about a topic that we've been touching on, but in their example, it was really interesting, the example they gave. It made me pause. I was like, I know they didn't say that. And they're talking about this whole topic of brain rot, okay? And, you know, before you assume anything, we're going to watch a little bit of it. And then I'm going to get to the part that I was like, oh, okay, this done made prime time now. So we're going to talk about that too. And let's see what else I got here. I'm going to take you to an article. This is a recent study that was conducted. All the peer review studies are coming in now regarding the what that took place a few years ago. Well, guess what? It's having a very interesting impact on people's brains. And we're going to talk about that too. We're going to get into that. And then finally, I'm going to tell you about this. I was on ChatGPT today. And what I did was I put together somewhat of a profile, right? And I wanted to see, based on this profile, what's going on upstairs in their brain. And what it came back to me was quite interesting. So we're going to even talk about that too. So, and anything else, like I said, again, if we have any room for anything else on the plate, we're going to put it in there. So again, we're going to take our time here on this platform, okay? But, we're going to keep it moving, okay? Trust me on that. All right, so first, speaking of the brain, I want to share with you this video that I came across I thought was really good. It's a short video. This is a black couple. I don't know where they are, but they are taking on a very interesting challenge. And what they're doing is, according to this video, they're actually teaching children how to write in cursive. Now, just by the show of hands, I mean, I can't see your hands, but you could put something in the chat if you like. How many of you who are watching this video right now, that's watching this stream, how many of you are old enough to remember that, when you were taught how to write in cursive? Did you ever get that in school? Did you ever get that training in school? I know I did. In school, it was a whole class in of itself. I think it was, the name of the class was creative writing or something like that. And that was, I believe, part of it. And, but yeah, cursive was something that we absolutely had to do. And, I was talking to my children and, they were like, no, we didn't really have that. So they know how to do some cursive, but, it's kind of like, it's not really a thing now, which is something. But let me show you the video first, and then I'm going to tell you the impact it has on the brain, okay? So let's get to this video here, and let's take a listen to what this couple is doing, which I am very excited about. Let's listen and see what's going on here.
Letter J, that letter J was tricky.
Twice a week, Terrell Whittington and his wife, Chelsea, come here to the YWCA Northwest Indiana to teach young students cursive writing.
There's this whole new generation of young people who have absolutely no idea what cursive is. And so he said, why don't we reintroduce that and see what we can do in our community?
All right, I like that. I like that enthusiasm, guys.
A few months ago, they decided to create a curriculum after discussing how many school districts are no longer teaching cursive writing. The YWCA was one of the first organizations that agreed to sponsor Cursive Academy.
I'm so happy about it and pleased because our kids need to be exposed to everything. We do not need to dummy down. We got to level up. So that cursive writing is leveling up.
I knew a little bit, I could read it a little bit, but this really actually taught me how to do cursive. I would say the first day it was a little bit hard learning it, but once you get it, I feel like you kind of just got it, you know.
11-year-old Sanila Shields is already thinking about the long-term implications.
I want to be a publisher or author when I grow up, so I want to write my signature down so they can know it's me.
This course is free for these students because the Y is sponsoring classes for its members.
It's just wonderful to see how my husband came up with an idea and our community has rallied around us to get it done.
Yes, yes, good job, baby, good
The
job.
Whittingtons are hoping more corporations and other organizations in Northwest Indiana and Chicago follow suit to help make a difference.
Letter J.
Now, excellent, man. If I could jump out of this screen and just do a dance all up and down this street, I would do it. I would do it. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. You know, some of y'all may be like, well, what's the big deal? Well, I'm gonna tell you what the big deal is in a moment. Now, for some of you, maybe you didn't recall the video I did. I'm trying to pull it up right now, but I would highly encourage you to go to this video that I did very recently, because I didn't talk about cursive, but we did talk about the benefit of writing with your less dominant hand, which I see somebody that you already took it on. And that's what I'm doing right now. But I'm going to give you the benefit here in a moment, as soon as I can find that video here of, I'm just going to show you the video. I'm going to show you the video. Was that a live or was that a pre-record? Hold on. Let me see here real quick. Yeah, here it is. Let me just show you the video on my screen here. So, because I really want you, if you haven't looked at it, make sure you look at this video right here. Story time, the trick they use to control you within the matrix. This video right here. All right. This video talks about, it's a very shortened version, gives you a history of why is it that the education establishment mandated that you learn to use your right hand. But not only that, it wasn't just the educational system. Guess where they got that inspiration? The Bible. Yes, the Bible taught them to do that. Because when you look at the examples in the Bible, and I do cover that in detail, I have links and sources and everything all in the video. Because when you look at the Bible, it talks about, you know, God's right hand and, you know, anything associated with the Father or God's right hand, it's always good stuff, right? But anything with the left hand on his left side is always bad stuff, right? And so, you know, fast forward, religious systems, they use that for years. And then the educational system, which sprouted out of that, they mandated it as well, right? And so in that video, I actually go through in detail what happens in your brain when you are using your less dominant hand, your LDH, your less dominant hand. And because the right hand, for those of you, again, if you just, okay, tell me a little bit more, I'll tell you. Your right hand basically is connected to the left side of your brain. Your left hand is connected to the right side of your brain. Well, why is it then you think they would want you to learn by using your right hand? Because the left side of your brain is about following instructions. It's about doing, you know, just order and looking at things in structure. Okay? For the most part, that's the right and the left hand, left hemisphere, they do share those responsibilities to a measure. But it skews more on the left side of your brain. Now, your right side of your brain, or the right hemisphere, well, guess what that side is about? That side is looking at the big picture. That side is about asking questions and challenging narratives and things like that, and analyzing and going into details and stuff. I think we kind of know why they wanted us to use our right hand and not our left hand, right? So that's just on that video there. But as it pertains specifically to cursive, I'll just give you a quick rundown on the benefits of writing in cursive. Number one is enhanced brain activation, especially in children. It said writing in cursive activates more neural pathways, and we talked about that in our series, which I'll be uploading another installment of that this week over on our Samba Tree YouTube page. They said functional MRI scan shows increased activity in both hemispheres, especially in the sensory motor, visual, and prefrontal areas. So there's more activity going on in these areas that we've been talking about, and we're going to talk about that tonight too. They said this is because cursive writing integrates fine motor skills, memory, and language processing all at once. So you're doing all of this stuff all together. It's really giving your brain a challenge. That's what your brain hungers for, challenges. It hungers for figuring things out. It hungers for puzzles. It hungers for math. Things that you got to figure out in detail. Your brain wants that. When you're just sitting here all day and scrolling on this, that ain't challenging anything. Your brain will not grow. And if your brain doesn't grow, guess what happens? It shrinks. And we're going to show you that, more evidence of that, okay? Number two, it improves memory and retention. This is all from cursive. Writing in cursive can improve long-term information retention. I'll just skip on down here. Number three, better reading and spelling skills. Number four, improve fine motor skills. Number five, increase writing speed and flow. Number six, support for dyslexia and other learning challenges. Some dyslexic students find cursive easier because the letters are more distinct and connected in a predictable way. So these are the areas that are all impacted by you learning how to write in cursive. So this couple that's coming together and they're saying, hey, we're going to teach these young black children how to write in cursive. That ain't just a style. They have an understanding of what it means in their brains and what is going to take place in your brains. Like Drummer Praise, what he got on there. You still call yourself Drummer Praise? What you call yourself? CTO drums. All right, you changed up on me. But this is why we have been very intentional in talking about it. We got a whole series that we're doing over on Samba Tree talking about all these functionalities of your brain. And to see them doing that, that's awesome. So glad for them to see them do that. And I've been still doing that. I got pages and pages of stuff. I'm always drilling myself in writing with my least dominant hand, which in my case is my left hand. I've been challenging myself on that. I've been playing catch, with this hand, doing different things, brushing my teeth with my left hand and all of that. And I could tell you, man, it's blowing me away. I mean, just some of this stuff, because I'm like, wait a minute, I never would have thought of it that way. Seriously, I'm not just making that up. I'm noticing more differences in how I think about things and think through things. And it's really something. But yeah, I'm still working on that, still doing that. And it's an everyday day for me. So I would encourage you to do it. Yes, you can do it. You can write with your left and your right hand. Don't just sit up here and think that you have to be born with that ability. No, you can teach yourself that. You're supposed to do that. But these schools tell you, and these churches tell you not to. And there's a reason why, because they want you compliant. All right. Anyway, let's move on. Last video that I did. Yeah, the video that I did just recently. Was it yesterday? Yeah. It was this one. This one right here. Let me pull this up here on the screen. And I hope you watched that one too. Now, this one is short. It's 8 minutes and 33 seconds. Now, the question that I asked in this video is very simple. What we use as as our example is Coach Prime, the coach for University of Colorado's football team. And in two separate videos, on one video, he's saying he thanks God for his recovery, because they found out he went into a routine checkup regarding his foot, because, they cut off, I think, his foot or his toes, something like that, right? And so while they were doing his routine checkup, they discovered that he had cancer, I believe it was on his bladder, and it was aggressive. Well, gee, I wonder how that happened. I wonder where that came from. We've talked about that, but I'm not allowed to talk about that on this platform, but we do talk about it. Anyway, they said it was an aggressive form of cancer, and they had to make a decision, and he made the decision. And so he was very grateful for God, that his recovery and all of that, right? And that was one video. And then in the second video, he was saying how grateful he was to his doctors. And so, which is fine. I'm glad the man is still alive and with us. But I wanted to pose a question to you, for those of you who really, that you hold on to the Bible. The Bible is your centerpiece of life. This is something, is your standard. You stand on it, and don't you dare question me on anything. I live by the Bible, and I will die by the Bible. Okay, fine. That's your choice. I'm not mad at you at that. But can I ask you a question, which I asked in the video? In the video, I gave the scripture where, in the Great Commission, Jesus telling his disciples, hey, listen, you guys aren't going to just do the same things I'm doing, but you're going to do things greater than what I did, on a greater level. And meaning, he said, you thought I did healings. Wait until once I get up out of here, y'all going to be doing a lot more healings and raising of the dead and all this other stuff, right? You're going to be doing even greater stuff that I was doing here. And so I said, okay, so let's sit back and look at this. So a lot of times when I hear people, Christians, Bible believers, Hebrews, whatever, when they talk about healing and all of that, the healings that they typically talk about are usually convenient things. Like, I had a headache and by the afternoon it went away, and it's like, okay, that's nothing miraculous about that, especially when you got them Anacin, those bare aspirin behind you, whatever, which is fine. Take what you need to take. I just want you to be better. But as far as this promise that was given, and I've, over the years, I've heard so many people say they'll go into the hospital. Y'all pray for me, because these doctors, they're not sure and all this stuff. And then the doctors, they go into the hospital, the doctors do their operations, they give you all the medicines and all this other stuff. And then you come out, oh, thank you, Jesus. Jesus was right there in the doctor's room. He was in the hospital room, and he'll be a doctor when you need one and all of that, right? And I'm like, okay, well, the scripture says that you will be able to lay hands on the sick and you will see them recover. It didn't say anything about a doctor. Right. And so why is it that healings or, recoveries, if you will, are always closely linked to what a doctor can or cannot do? You understand what I'm saying? I think that's a fair question. And again, it's not dissing anybody or whatever. Ultimately, you believe what you want. But it is I think it's a very fair question. And I put it out there and I just said, hey, listen, this is my question. And, all I ask is the responses that you put in the comments, just make it well thought out. Okay. At least make it well thought out so that we can kind of dialogue on this a little bit. You know what I mean? I'm not mad at you at all, but I do want you to be, let's have a conversation. And you know what the first comment I got was? The first comment I got, it was all praises to the Most High Yah. Yeah, that was the comment. That was the first comment I received, and then all the other ones, it wasn't really saying much. You know what I mean? So I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm just gonna leave it at that. But I would love to hear your responses on that, and don't back up the dump truck full of scriptures and just dump it on me. I really want you to think this all the way out on what I'm asking. And I would love to dialogue with someone on that. Like I said, again, if we have time, maybe even, in this broadcast, if you want to call in and share, I would love to hear from you on that. Okay. Anyway, let's get to the main story that I wanted to talk about here. Stone Mountain. Now, I lived in Georgia. I lived in Georgia for a number of years. Georgia was a place where I've got married. Georgia was a place that we had our two children. We had our first business there. We bought our first house there. Oh, we did so many things there. I have a whole lot of ton of stories I can tell you about Georgia. A ton. A ton. Anyway, it's amazing I didn't take up drinking after that. I've never been a drinker, never will, but some of those stories, my goodness. But anyway. But one of the places that we used to go when we wanted to go, like, for a very challenging walk, it was actually two places. You had Kennesaw Mountain, which is in Cobb County, and that's it's mountain for that area. Okay, it's a mountain, and yeah, but you get a lot of exercise on that too. It ain't just a hill. It's exercise. Okay, Kennesaw Mountain, Cobb County, and the other one, whenever I was around in that area, was Stone Mountain. Now, Stone Mountain is much, much larger, much larger. They have a lot of stuff going on in there. It's not just the mountain. You also have with a cable car. Like, if you don't feel like walking up there, you can actually take a cable car up there. They have like them old timey trains that you can take that goes around the mountain area and all of that. And then they have a lot of stuff going on there. It's a lot of open space. So they have picnics. They have I'm going through my memory right now. They have like a little old like village that you can walk through and stuff like that. And it's a really nice little area. But it does have a history, and the history is the mountain itself. And on the side of the mountain, you have carved these Civil War leaders, right? I forgot who they're on. I think Sherman's up there. Is it? No, Sherman ain't up there. That he was on the other side. No, Sherman wasn't up there. That was he was on the Union side, I think. But the civil rights. Here I'm all over the place. Let me see. Let's get to the bottom of this. Who is on Stone Mountain? All right, let's see. I'm putting everybody up there. Anyway, Jefferson Davis, Robert E. Lee, and Stonewall Jackson. And, this is, let's see here. Let's get to see if I can get you a picture of it. And, is this, here we go. You can see the picture on it. So it was definitely built in another time. Okay. And the KKK actually used to meet up on this mountain. They used to have, they used to actually burn crosses up there. And so, yeah, it was a thing. I mean, this was a symbol of pretty much white supremacy. All right. That's what it was. Right. And, even though they try to, it ain't really nothing now and all of that. And, but it still is, don't bother me any. I mean, that's just part of history. I'm not really let's tear down all these statues type of person. I'm not triggered like that. Maybe because I, grew up in a different time or whatever. So I see things, I keep it moving. I'm not saying we got to keep it up. It's not that either. But I think for me, when it comes to certain things, I tend to say, no, you probably want to leave that there, because we don't want to forget that history, regardless if you were for it or not. It is something to remember. And when we're living in a society within a generation that don't even pick up and read books, I think ultimately we are doing ourselves a disservice when we are getting on that slippery slope and tearing stuff down and all of that, because pretty soon they'll tear down your history as well. And then now nobody has anything, you know what I mean? So I'm a little, about that. Right. So Stone Mountain, I actually did. I don't know if I actually hiked the whole thing. Seems like we did. I can't remember, but I do remember doing this walk on there, but it's also a very challenging walk too. Anyway, all that being said, if I wanted to make some kind of like life declaration, for me and for my family, Stone Mountain would not be the place. It just wouldn't. I'm not going to go to Stone Mountain to make any kind of life declaration. I mean, just because of the history alone. Before they carved all of that on there, and before the white man got up there and was burning crosses up there, that was all sacred ground. And these devils basically would take, because Stone Mountain was just like Mount Rushmore. These were sacred areas, and so, white people came in and it was like, man, bump that. We're going to carve in our faces on there. And Stone Mountain was one of those places. And, so it's not really something that, even if I don't respect the whole Confederate thing, which I don't, I still have respect even for the natives that lived in that land. You know what I'm saying? That was their hallowed ground, that mountain. So, yeah, I've been up there, but now I'm a little bit older and wiser now. I probably wouldn't even go up there again, just out of respect to that. This is their like sacred ground, and I'm up there taking selfies. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of, to me, disrespectful. You know what I mean? So it's very interesting to me that we had, this one particular group up there just doing their thing. So anyway, I want to show you this video I put together of different groups that were up there. One was in June. This may have happened the same time. That I'm not sure of. But there were two separate groups that I'm aware of that were up there. You had the Hebrew Israelites that went up there, and they did their whole declaration thing. Then you had the people who say that they are the black Indians. They're the real Indians. They went up there and they had their whole declaration thing. And then finally, there was another group. They didn't necessarily go on the mountain, but they were on the ground there, and they went to make their declaration too. And so you have three different black groups that use this ground to make this declaration. But each one of these groups, if you can kind of figure this out, they're all black folks, but they represent different identities, standing on the identity of the Confederacy. I hope you're tracking with me on this. I mean, just how confusing that really sounds like. Okay, so let me get this up on the screen for you, and let's begin. Okay, so this is the first clip here. This clip is about 2 minutes long, and let's just watch this. This is all the cast of characters that were on top of or around Stone Mountain making their declarations.
I will bring you back to the land of Israel, and then you, my people, will know that I am the Lord.
360 degrees. Hallelujah. In every direction, from the north, south, east, and west. Bless us, Lord. Enlarge our territory. Amen.
Oh, he's the legendary. Indigenous one. That's right. The black Indian himself. That's right. Welcome, legendary Top Cat. Plan Woods, gentlemen. Plan Woods. You know details, you know the truth.
It's your worst nightmare. Go ahead. Everywhere you go, you invade, steal, rape, rob, and kill us. Oh, really? Then you steal people's culture. Then you have the nerve to have an attitude about it. Where's our reparations? Thank you. Of course. I like the song. What did I do to you? It's not what you did. What the ancestors people did. You benefit from that. Go ahead, that white denial before you lose your life. I ain't making this with y'all. Fuck out my face. Threat, counter threat. Because threats don't mean shit to us. Y'all been threatening us since Birmingham. I ain't seen shit. When is July the 4th? And all you scary ass Negroes that pass that shit around, look at what the fuck you did. You made blacks come out. I don't see no white militia. So to the boogie boys, the 3%ers, and all the rest of you scared ass rednecks, we here. Where the fuck you at? We in your house. Let's go. NFAC, motherfucker. NFAC.
Okay, so they're there waiting for you. And nobody ever showed up. You know, I don't think that was that last video that was from a few years ago, I think. And yeah, they showed up and all of that. And here's the funny irony of this. They're calling for a street battle, but the man, also known as the government, basically told them, yeah, you can show up, but you better not show up with those guns loaded. You cannot come there with guns loaded. Usually when you see protests like that and people show up with their guns and their rifles and all that stuff, it's usually not loaded, because it's certain states, they have laws like that where they say, yeah, you can walk around with your gun and all of that in a protest, but typically they will tell you, that you can't show up. The gun cannot be physically loaded. I mean, you may have access to ammo in your car or whatever, but it cannot be physically loaded. And I remember reading about that when this was happening. They were saying the guns weren't even loaded, but yet you're calling for a whole street battle and threatening people, and it was just something. So here we go. So I want to paint this picture again so that you understand what we're dealing with here. And yes, there is a very insurmountable amount of confusion that we have in what we call the black community. You have one group calls themselves Hebrew Israelites that embraces a culture, embraces a culture, and that they'll say, oh, it's Hebrew. Don't you say it's Jewish culture. No, it's Hebrew culture. It's Hebrew culture, whatever. But you're still pulling from what the Jews are doing. Everything you say, all the stuff that they wear and all of that, a lot of stuff you just take right on what they're saying. There is, when we've gone through this in detail over and over again, you will not find any one of your grandmothers saying, hey, baby, hey, shalom, bishop, baby, come here. You ain't going to hear no your grandmother saying that. Since everybody want to talk about what their grandmother said, grandmother is the sole provider of all your entire genome pool. It's grandma. Don't talk about grandpa. Grandma could tell you that, yeah, I remember we used to dance around the camp. Don't get me started with that. But so you have the Hebrews who are embracing these individuals who we've already shown, and many others as well, that these individuals were very much responsible for purchasing you from Africans into slavery, putting you on ships that they financed, bringing you over here to the United States, Central America, South America, selling you in their markets, having you toil under their lash. And here we are in 2025. Your greatest aspiration is to be like them. So that's that group. Okay, so we got that group. Then the next group we have are the people who desperately want to claim to be the true Native Americans of this land. They don't know anything at all about Africa. There's absolutely nothing about them at all. Nothing at all. Absolutely nothing. Nothing at all. When you look through their cultures, if you use anthropology and just go through culture, the slang and language and stuff like that, there's absolutely no traces of Africa at all. It's all Native American, all 100%. And then when you want to engage in just a basic, calm conversation with these individuals and say, yes, absolutely, I am acknowledging that, yes, even myself, I look in my family history. Yes, you can go, if you look far enough, you will see traces of Native American in my family. I've even gone in my home, well, my parents' home state, and there's towns and stuff that carry the name of Native American towns and stuff. There were certain foods that my family would eat that was very popular amongst Native Americans. They like that stuff too. But the full history is that in many cases, these groups did not want to have anything to do with you. In fact, many of them enslaved you. Many of them enslaved you. So it's really not that much different than the first group that I talked about, the Jews. It's not that much different. So these people enslaved you. They made it very clear they didn't want to have anything to do with you. And then eventually they just said, we'll just tolerate you, right? And so that's what we're seeing happening now. And so, but when you start asking these people, do you speak fluent Cherokee, or do you, the different dressings and stuff that, how did you dress? And do you have old pictures of you dressing in them, like them and all of that? And, you start asking just detailed things like that. Well, they don't really have too much to give you. They don't have too much to give you on that at all. But again, the whole time I'm open and wanting to hear you out. But instead, what happens is they get angry. You know what I'm saying? And but again, so now we got two groups who are wanting to embrace a people who hated them. Let me just I'll put this up here. Who hated them. And then now finally we got that third group. I forgot who they're called, and maybe some of y'all can remember, but it was this third group. They're more on the pseudo militant side. They always do a lot of talk and say we're gonna show up and do this and that or whatever. But, nothing ever comes of it. But, they know it's impressive to them. It's like IUIC, you got 1,000 black men thick marching down the street and people are like, oh, see, this is what I'm talking about. It's the unity and all that. Meanwhile, you're marching past these broken homes. Meanwhile, people still hungry. But you got them purple shirts on, them purple and gold. You got folk up there, all kinds of stuff going on all throughout the community. You could say, all right, we're going to do something. Now, to IUIC's credit, they do some things. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that is true. But those some things is just that. It's just some things. But the majority is about them and them only. You know what I'm saying? So here you got this. So you got this other group here that I'm referring to. Like I said, again, I can't think of their name right now, but they're known for going around and we showing up thick and look at our guns and I bet this white man won't show up now. There was I was on X or on Twitter, and this white person left a comment, and it was really interesting. They said, these black folks, they are actually looking for a street fight, and they said we're. If I could speak for myself, they said, I'm not looking for a street fight. I mean, if it really got that bad, they said all we would have to do was cut off their internet and it will be done. He said, all we got to do is cut off their internet and it'll be done. We don't have to do anything. That's what he said. That's not me. I saw it and I was like, dang, well, cut off the internet and power and it'll be a whole wrap. So on top of this, right? You got two groups that are desperately holding on to a people that enslaved them. And then the third group is or whatever, right? They're standing on top of a monument that is dedicated to the Confederate Army. Okay, are you following me on this? So you got confusion level 1. Then you got level 2. They're standing on. So your declaration to the whole world has no value until Mr. Charlie's in the room somewhere. It kind of reminds me of that old photo some of y'all saw a while back. Let me see. I'm going to look up black. Let's see. Slave preachers. Some of y'all already know what I'm talking about. It's this image right here. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. It's this one right here. This one. And, if you look at it closely, you got the preacher right here. And then who else you got up in the room? Mr. Charlie's right there. And then here's his wife, looks like, or, you know, his daughter, and then all them other folks, they got the best seats, and then all of that, because if he ain't there, then what Mr. saying up here, Unc is saying it ain't gonna hold any weight. But Mr. Charlie has to be in the room. And isn't it sad that in 2025, you have these three groups that have all this thunder in their chest, but all of that thunder has to be verified by them standing on top of a mountain, Stone Mountain, Georgia, where you have this, you know, it's a whole monument dedicated to the Confederate Army. So you're confused, wanting to be like somebody else, but you want to make a declaration, but the only way you can make a declaration is that you got to be on top of Stone Mountain to do it. I know for some of y'all, it's probably, you know, it may take a minute to process that. It's certain, and to be fair, it's taking me a minute to process that too. But I'm just trying to point out the confusion in that. And unfortunately, you got a lot of folks who don't see the confusion in that at all. They just think, well, you know, it seems perfectly normal to me. Well, yeah, exactly. That's the problem. That's the problem. And it's just, I'm sitting back and looking at this. And then on top of that, like I said, if you go back far enough, that land wasn't Confederate land in the first place. It belonged to the Native Americans. So you got black Indians up there that want to say, hey, this is our land and we are the original and all of that. And then so you going to go on top of their mountain and do whatever it is that you do. Didn't get permission from them. You just went on there. First of all, back up. You had to pay Mr. Charlie to get in first into the park. So you had to pay Mr. Charlie to get in. You just bypassed whatever natives that were really there and just said, screw y'all, we the first. And then you just, so that's what I'm saying. So I know it's confusing. I get it. And so this is what I'm trying to walk people through these things so that hopefully you can really start thinking through this stuff instead of just going with the crowd, because there's a lot of people that are just going with the crowd. It just sounds like, you know, when you hear, oh, you know, I was talking to my grandmother and grandma said that we're this. And, you know, I was reading in the Bible and I start feeling an itch. I felt something pushing me in my back, telling me who I really was. And then all of that. And so in a lot of people's minds, you accept that, you just run with that and that's it. And then have no regard for the other stuff that, you know, it's like, wait a minute, did you think this all the way through? So that's why I'm here. I'm here to help you with that and to do it in a very calm and respectful way. But like I said, if you ain't going to be respectful, then yeah, I will show you the door and I will do it. And I've done it many, many times. Okay. But yeah, let's move on. I just wanted to talk about that. I thought that was really something here. Now, this next video that I want to share with you, this is a video that my son showed me today, matter of fact. It's a 12-minute long video. I would show it to you, but I would play the whole thing, but I know I'll probably lose some people after the first few minutes. So I'm just going to condense it, you know, but in this video, I'll tell you about it and I'll even put the link. I'm going to put the link in the chat right now for you. So if you want to watch it, you can, you know, please do. I thought it was a very informative video. It's very short. And the video is talking about why brain rot will doom Generation Alpha. And I thought this was a really important video. I think a lot of people need to watch this. But there was one part of this video that I found to be quite interesting. And I'm just remembering something here before I close out that last segment. I do want to play this other video for you guys. Let me play and that will close out the last segment. Okay. Here's a video that I found on TikTok. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Some individual upload this on TikTok, making the claim that, well, you'll see it in the video. And let me just play the video. How about that? Let me play the video. You'll see it for yourself.
Philip has been on previous expeditions with me, and he knows these stone axes have deadly weapons.
I don't even have to play the whole video. So you saw what it said on there. It says actual footage of a lost African Aborigine tribe sent to West African coast. That is not true at all. These people, this was from a documentary of a tribe that was like one of the last tribes, you know, that was contacted by people from the outside in Papua New Guinea. That's who it was. It wasn't some Africans that they brought over there or anything like that. So this is the kind of stuff I'm saying. These are the kind of mindsets I'm talking about, that when you are having to make things up for your origin story, that's where I have problems with you. I have serious problems with you. I can't deal with liars. I can't deal with liars. I was going back and forth with someone the other day on this platform, and they literally went back into the conversation and took something out and then tried to continue the conversation. It was like, well, what are you talking about? And I was like, well, dummy, I'm not that. I'm not a dummy, because I could see where you edited your own comment. And they try to play it off. I was like, no, I'm not going to continue this conversation, you know, because now you're lying. And I encountered this a whole lot. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you real quick. But let's get to this video here, okay? Let's get to this video. Remember, if you want to call in, if you would love to call in, ask me whatever, I would love to have you. So yeah, so it looks like we might be able to pull this off. So, but I do want to share this video with you. And we're going to start right here. Again, this video, what it's talking about the impact of, it's a combination of things. It's touching on social media, the impact of social media, and then also during the whole lockdown, the shut-ins and all that, during the whole COVID thing, and the impact that it had on young people and their brain development. Okay, so that's pretty much what the video is about. But like I said, again, I really do encourage you to watch the whole video. It's only 12 minutes long, but let me play this video here and let's get it going. Okay, so let me go back and you guys can see it.
Strong opinions, some of which have no basis in reality, and they were belligerent when challenged on it. And the culprit once again was the internet. Micro-content is increasingly becoming the favorite way for Gen Alpha not only to be entertained, but to learn. And surprisingly, not everything can be learned in 1 minute. The main culprit is one of the biggest boogeymen at the moment, TikTok. This viral video site has been accused of everything from being digital crack to being Chinese spyware. But its biggest problem might be that you can find everything there, including blatant lies. The site is notorious for hosting influencers who break down complex issues into short, easy-to-digest videos, often claiming to reveal the hidden truth that schools don't want kids to know. There's just one problem. Most of it is fake. After all, remember when Vladimir Putin opened up the oldest vault? If that doesn't make sense to you, you're not alone. But in 2024, a user on Twitter, X, went viral for claiming that the Russian dictator had opened something called the oldest vault, which contained portraits of biblical figures that proved they were all black. The only problem was, this never happened. It was entirely made up, a conspiracy theory spun from debates about the origin of mankind. And before anyone could verify it, it had spread halfway around the world, and teachers are battling to catch up. The rise of short-form content on social media has left teachers struggling to compete and adapt to their students' new attention spans. A quarter of TikTok's users are between the ages of 10 and 19, and an in-house survey showed that most only want to watch videos a minute or less. Some teachers have started to adopt this format, posting fast-paced recaps of lessons on social media. After all, if you can't beat them, join them. This might work.
There you go. There you go. They nailed it. When I tell you they nailed it. But you saw what they pulled there. Some of y'all remember this. You remember when they did this whole thing about Putin? He uncovered a secret vault that had all of these ancient paintings of Jesus being with dark skin, and then some of these other paintings and all that. I literally had to do several videos and walking people through that and showing them step by step. Number one, this video, the audio of the actual video you guys are pointing to is an AI dub. Let me show you. this is the original, this is that. And I had to go through that. Then I had to do a deep dive in talking about these paintings and why the paint changes color and all of that stuff. And I even was able to find a source of someone who actually, that's what they have done for a living, is making these paintings. And all they do, this is a Russian person. The article was actually written in Russian. And the guy actually explained in detail all this stuff. So when I tell you, we unloaded a ton of information showing people that you guys are, okay, so we're Black Russians now? That's what you're saying now, that we're Black Russians? Yeah, because we everywhere. We everywhere. But we're from this land. But we everywhere. But they're tethers. But we're from everywhere. Okay. Anyway, so I'm trying to explain this, and people were going so hard on this. They would not let it go. They wouldn't let it go. And even to this day, you bring it up, they still won't let it go. He said, see, I hear what you're saying, but see, but see, you adding confusion and all this stuff. And, I'm like, no, I'm just looking it up. If opening up a freaking book is confusion to you, then that's the whole problem right there. I'm not confused when I open up a book. I'm not confused when I'm looking things up. And this is what I'm encouraging you to do. But unfortunately, a lot of people in this day and age, they don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. And so I just thought that was interesting, because now they're actually using that whole episode as, and they're laughing at it now. They're saying, yeah, this is a classic example of brain rot. I was like, wow, that's something else. I try to warn folks. We try to warn people, but now the world is laughing at you for that, and so it's unfortunate. But anyway, next thing here, remember, I will definitely, looks like we'll be able to open up the phone lines today. All right. So if you have a question, like I said, again, just as long as you keep it respectful, I'm here for you. All right. Here's the next thing here, Sombatry. I didn't mention that. A couple of things I do want to mention about Sombatry. Look at that, the latest banner we got there. We wanted to give a shout out to all of our farmer friends out there, people who are working their land and doing their thing and all of that. So I wanted to do a poster for them. So that's that up there. So Sombatry.com. A couple of things I want to bring to your attention. If you're not familiar with Sombatry.com, we're 100% committed to solving a lot of these ailments and getting our bodies to its optimum level by using natural means. That's what we're committed to. And so we have all kinds of natural things, from powders to oils to all kinds of stuff. So check it out, Sombatry.com. All right. Check that out. We're running a sale right now, 20% off, 20% off. The sale will be wrapping up tomorrow. All right. Tomorrow will be your last chance, and then it's a wrap. 20% off. It excludes bulk items and online classes. All right. But 20% off. All right. I want to show you very quickly here this, the class that Nicole taught, the alternate day fasting. We talked about all the benefits of that. And it's not just about losing weight, even though that's part of it, but we talked about all the things it's connected to, from your brain, all of that stuff, and your mood and resetting things in your body and all of that stuff. And so now the testimonies are actually starting to come in. We told you this is a life-changing experience. And so let me get the testimonies up for you right quick here. This is one. Let me slide this over here on the screen here, right here. And someone say, I'm very excited. I completed 2 36-hour fasts this week to test my self-control and determination. And I did it losing 5 pounds. Go ahead. Go ahead. So what we're teaching is on this is fasting. It shouldn't be, let me just back up here, because we talked about this in a video when it was Nicole and I. See, fasting, when you're doing it in a religious sense, it's about crucifying yourself. It's about, bringing harm to the flesh and killing the flesh and all that stuff. That's all death. No, fasting is when your body comes alive. Fasting is when things in your body come out and start repairing things and rejuvenating things. That's what fasting is. When you look at what's going on in your body is starting to repair itself. You're not crucifying yourself. You're not nailing yourself to the cross. You're not putting a crown of thorns on. You're actually giving your body the opportunity to heal itself. And that's what this is all about, and educating you, because it's one thing to tell somebody, hey, listen, for the next 24, 48 hours, we're not going to eat anything, and the first thing that comes to your mind is, oh, Lord, now what am I going to do? And you wringing your hands together and trying to figure out and all this stuff. And so you're so focused on the food. And so what this teaches you is don't be focused on what you don't have. Be focused on what's happening in your body. You understand what I'm saying? And when you're focused on what's happening in your body, it gives you that extra boost to say, hey, I need to do this again. This needs to be a lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so hats off to that individual there. And then we got another person here. I'll just read it to you. This is from Brother Jay. I think you're in the house. It says, so I started my ADF the same evening after our class. Please don't ask me why. I guess I like starting ahead of time. And he says, as of today, and this is July 28th, my weight is 224. I started at 233, 9 pounds in 8 days. And then he is using one of those apps that are out here that could help you chart it out. It says, below is an image of my weight loss journey. I hope it encourages someone to push through the initial discomfort in the first days. I am feeling the best I have ever felt during this ADF. And then here's the chart here that they're referring to right here. And like I said, there are apps that you can do if you're wanting to do this. There are apps out there that'll help you kind of chart your way through it and just serve as encouragement, So very proud of our brother there for doing his thing there. And yeah, that's what it's supposed to be, and yeah, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. So yeah, so you can be a part of this too. You can just go again to sambatree.com, go to sambatree.com, go to Samba University. And then when you get there, go ahead and get in there. The class is already recorded. You can download it. You'll get a sheet that will have all the links with all the documents in there. You'll also be part of our Facebook group where you can talk to real people in real time, get encouragement and all that stuff that you need. And let's do this thing. Let's make this thing. Let's start changing the narrative for our own lives. Stop waiting for everybody to get their stuff together. It's time for you to start doing it on your own, And so very proud of these individuals for taking these steps. And, I'm ecstatic. I really am. So good for you guys. All right. So let's get to the final thing. Basically, yeah, the final thing here. Let me bring up Sambatree again. I posted a blog post earlier, about an hour or so ago. It's down here. So if you ever want to see our latest blog posts, they're down here. You might have missed something here if you ain't checking it out. Free gift. Do you have enough room though? I'm not going to even read it, but for our family on Sambatree, yeah, there's a free gift waiting for you. You probably don't care about anything free, but anyway, it's there for you. Anyway, quick read. What a new MRI study tells us about COVID-19 and the brain. Check this out. Oh, we got a super chat. Thank you, the Lumbus. Thank you. Really appreciate that. The Lumbus. Oh, I'm pronouncing that right. And really appreciate that. Let's see. Quick read. What a new MRI study tells us about COVID-19 and the brain. Now, there was a study that came out, and I have a link below here that tells you about it. Okay, so that gets more into the real science of it and all of that. But let me just go through this real quick, and then I will explain it even more for you. Okay. Researchers in Germany use artificial intelligence software to scan the brains of people who have recovered from COVID-19. Here are the big takeaways. Who was in the study? It was 155 adults. 51 had mild or symptom-free COVID-19. 48 had severe COVID-19 that required a hospital stay. 56 were healthy people who had never had COVID-19 in the control group. Okay. What did the scientists do? They gave everyone the same type of MRI. That's just a scan of your brain. And they paid attention to the gray matter in their brains, people who had COVID. Now, what they're slightly mentioning is the vaccine is part of this too. They're not really saying that, but yeah, that's part of this too. Mild COVID-19, small drop in gray matter volume. Severe COVID-19, bigger drop, the worst shrinkage. The most affected regions were listen to this. The most effective regions were the thinking and planning frontal lobe, the sensory processing parietal lobe, and a relay hub called the right thalamus. We talked about the parietal lobe last week over on Sombatry, and a relay hub called the right thalamus. Why does this matter? More severe illness, more brain shrinkage. The changes were still there 3 months after recovery, even for patients who were never in intensive care. Brain shrinkage in these areas can be linked to problems with memory, focus, and mood. This kind of explains a lot of the stuff that I was kind of talking about just earlier in this broadcast. It doesn't show everyone who gets COVID-19 will lose brain volume. It can't say whether the shrinkage is permanent or the brain can heal over time. It doesn't test whether vaccines, medicines, or lifestyle changes could protect the brain. Future studies have to answer those questions. Again, the link to the full study is below in the article itself. But let me tell you something. Listen, honey child, baby, sweetie pie, that if you think that was just something flying in the air and got in you that's going to cause your brain to shrink, that wasn't just some, I got a stomach virus. There ain't no stomach virus that's going to cause your brain to shrink. I got a cold. I just got a cold, y'all. And then you finding that your brain is shrinking. Let me bring this image back up here. That frontal part, this is the front part of your head. This is the front part. You mess with that, what does that translate to? It translates to you being able, remember we talked about the prefrontal cortex. What is that? That is the executive part of your brain. And when the executive is taken out, what happens? You are left with what? Reacting to everything and anything with what? Your emotions. You're always going to be emotional because your amygdala is going to be the one that's mostly in the driver's seat. So when you see all of these videos and people just freaking out and just going off and pulling, and just, I'm going to pull out a gun, and all this you see with these young brothers out here just pulling out guns, and now sisters out here pulling out guns and just popping it off on each other over the dumbest of things. See, get out of just calling them niggas. Stop saying this is just the niggas and we got to get rid of them. Yeah, that's a nigga activity, but it's not just that. You don't just get to wave that off like that. What you're witnessing is a whole bunch of things that are going on. There's trauma that they're dealing with, but there's also other things as well. Low literacy. If you're not reading, right? That's another factor. I mentioned the trauma, low literacy, diet. We talk self-hatred. I'm gonna get into that in just a moment, but it's a multitude of factors. But the good thing is that if a person is willing enough to say, you know what, enough is enough, full stop, I need to get help, you can actually walk through to recovery with this kind of stuff. And in many cases, it doesn't require any pharmaceuticals. I would go and say it doesn't require pharmaceuticals at all. That's what I would say, but I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to pretend that I am one. But I do know a lot of these pharmaceuticals that are designed to do things up here, I would be extremely careful of. Because I know we got some people out here who are taking that stuff. We have a whole platform that we created. What's it called? Baba Herb. Just go to sombertree.com and there's a link it'll take you to. We create a whole thing just for that. And you can ask, hey, this is what they're giving me to take. Now I need you to go out there and look for what are the natural alternatives, right? So tools are there. We already got them for you. Because y'all need to get your behinds off of this stuff. And there's a lot of black folks that are taking this stuff and they're just popping this stuff because the doctor told them to take it, not realizing what's happening. I was talking with someone I know. I have to talk hot top level here. I'll just say this. But this person I was with, we were in this place where there were multiple people in there that we knew. And it's all black folks. A good percentage of those people that was in that room were all taking these psych pills, a good percentage of them. And it was the other day I was talking to this individual. I said, there's nowhere in the world you can expect to have a normal conversation with somebody who's taking these psych pills. You just can't. You can't. And there's a lot of people out here right now that are taking these things and they're right amongst you. They're in the chat. They're in the comment section. They have TikTok platforms. They have YouTube channels and all of that. And a lot of these people, psychologically, they're off because of a multitude of different things that are going on that they, for whatever reason, it's not getting treated. And again, when I say treated, I don't mean you sitting back on somebody's couch and they're injecting you with all this stuff. I'm talking about there are people out here now, they don't even want to acknowledge that. It's the new normal for a lot of these people. And I'm telling you right now, this stuff that we're seeing right now, it is not normal. If you're expecting, I was telling my wife this as I'm moving on to this last little thing here. If you're expecting some type of bird box situation where they're going to flip a switch and all of a sudden people getting crazy, well, honey, let me tell you something. The switch has already been switched. Okay. And instead of it being this one thing where everybody starts going crazy, what I think is it's just a slow boiling of the frog effect where slowly but surely things are going to become the new normal. Okay. He shot off 20 people because what's the latest new normal now? Hey, listen, like that girl at McDonald's that, killed her boss because the boss and her, they weren't seeing eye to eye. It was something going on. So she hauled off and knifed the woman, I think. And you know what a lot of people were saying? Well, listen, this is what happens when you messing around with us. That's not normal. And a lot of people saw that as normal. Now, go back 5 years ago, people weren't talking like that. Now they are. Now it's like, hey, listen, yeah, you mess with me, shoot, that's going, and I'm like, okay, they just cut you off on the highway. That doesn't mean you got to blow their head off. I mean, what are you talking about? But that's the new normal. You understand what I'm saying? And this is the things we got to catch now because for a lot of people, unfortunately, it's way too late. Let me get to this thing I put together here. It was here. Let me see. I might make this a post because I do want to get to some phone calls here. If someone want to call here, I might just do that. Because this one, I'm going to have to really take my time on this one. I don't want to rush through this one. But what I did was this. I'll give you a little bit of it. I said, I wanted to look at individuals who I'm going through it right now as I'm talking to you, who have a low literacy rate. When you try to you're in a conversation with someone, it's just like a light discussion, and you're trying to present them with some basic facts, but the person that you're talking to, they have a very low literacy. In other words, they don't read, they don't really do in-depth reading a whole lot. When you do present them with some literary work or stuff that does require some reading, their response typically is, I don't have time to read all of that. And then what was the other thing I said? There was something else too. They're narcissistic. You have a lot of narcissism. And some of y'all ain't gonna like this, but it is true anyhow. You have a lot of narcissism in what we call black culture. It's a lot of narcissism there. And until people start being honest and truthful about that, it's going to continue to take this ship down. But that's very true. But when you're dealing with someone like that, what exactly is going on in the brain. And I wanted to talk about that, but I'm going to do that on another video, because that, when I tell you, when you hear the response I got from that, some of y'all, it's just going to blow you away, because it's like, wow, I know a lot of people like that. But I'm going to save that for another day, because that was, that one is a bit involved, and I don't want to rush through that. But anyway, we are here now, and let's see. I want to go to the phones now, and I'm going to. I'll put the phone number up in a little bit. You can call in if you have any questions for me at all, or if you want to put it in the chat. If you have any questions for me in the chat, if you're like, well, I don't feel like calling, that's fine. You can put it in the chat. And but if you want to call in, I like calling people. I like talking to people, because I like hearing real voices. There's too many AI voices out there right now. I want to hear some real voices. And, let's talk, whatever questions you have. If there's videos I've done, if there's topics I talked about, and you're like, well, I didn't really quite understand what you were saying here, or, what do you think about this, or whatever? It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Go ahead and call in. Just give me a minute here to get set up. It's not going to take long at all. And then I'll be set to take your calls. Okay, let me see if I got any music I can play right quick here. There we go. I'll play that. Give me a moment, and let me get set up here. All right, almost set up here. Okay, so that's the phone number there if you wish to call in. And if you had any questions for me, if you want to call in, you can use that number. Or if you want to put a question to me in the chat, you can do that. Okay, you could do that as well. And I will be more than happy to talk, and that's it. Like I said, just the main thing I just ask is just keep it respectful. And that's it. And stay on topic, of course, too. Stay on topic. And, because I can't bounce but so much, you know what I mean? And, but yeah, so yeah, if you want to call in, or if you have a question or anything like that, you have a phone number right there on your screen. Or you can put your question in the chat, and let's talk about it. If there's something going on in current event, some news item or something that's going on, if I know about it, we could talk about it. I try to stay up on things, but there's some things I just don't, I kind of lose interest on certain things, because you can't stay, I tell people this all the time. I said, in olden days, people didn't really know about things that was going on in Eastern Europe. Let's say if you're living in some village here in the United States, in the Americas or whatever, people didn't even know anything about Eastern Europe or some of the islands. They didn't care about that. The only thing they knew about what was going on in their neck of the woods, and that's all they cared about. It now, everybody knows everything about everything. You know what I'm saying? It's so that's really not healthy. But, unfortunately, I try to keep my eyes on certain things, but other things are just like whatever. So anyway, I'm not going to beg folk either, so I'll just hang here for a little bit. If you, again, anything you want to ask at all, if it's a video I did and it's something you're not sure about, or what's your thoughts on this, or why'd you say that, or whatever. Maybe we dialogued in the comment section or something, and maybe you just want to make sure you got from, you hearing from me clearly, and, all that stuff. So anyway, here we go. We got a phone call right now. Let's see. Hello, caller. Can you hear me?
Hey, Dwayne, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you just fine. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing fine, man. I'm doing fine.
All right.
Hey, I wanted to talk about when you were talking about actually healing on that particular number. I remember when I was particularly was in the church and did awakening, like you were talking to, because I was raised in the church, and I was like, hey, I want to go in and I want to go in and I want to pray for everybody in the hospital, and then I want to shut the hospital down. But as you get older and you understand about that, it's totally different from it, and you have to study. And I appreciate you challenging us to where we have to read. We can still have our faith, but then we need to read to make sure where things come from and how they go. So, what I've gone to it and where I'm at right now, from what you've been telling me and what I've been understanding with it, do you think it's because our senses are overloaded now? So where our senses are being overloaded now, a lot of things that could happen can't happen because we're not directly focused on it. Do you think the sensory overload, because you hear about people in Africa sometimes where there's healing going on in Africa, and I don't know if that's true or going on it. Do you think because we're in America that we have so much sensory overload to why things aren't manifesting in the way that it would other places? What's your thoughts?
I think that's a good, and that what you're presenting there is a good question, and it's also been used repeatedly as a good explanation, and is one explanation that for myself, I bought into it myself and said, yeah, we're living in different times right now and all of that. But, and on one hand, it may sound very plausible, but now when you start drilling down a little bit, let's talk about this, during that time, when in the Bible where it talks about Jesus making this promise to these people and saying, hey, listen, you're going to be able to do this, that, or whatever. And it wasn't necessarily like a calm time for these people, at least, again, according to the biblical narrative. I mean, they were getting chased down, they were getting beat up and tortured and everything else by the Romans. So there was a lot of things that they were dealing with right now. I mean, even to their whole country was going to eventually be taken over and all of that. So they were under a lot more stress. Their environment was a lot more stressful than what we're dealing with right now. So that's number one. But I would also say there's number two, when we're looking at just the whole idea of healing. I think what I would challenge anybody, regardless if you're in the church or you're not or whatever, ultimately, like I tell people all the time, what you choose to believe, that's your choice. And I'm not going to be mad at you regardless of what it is. But here's the thing. I think what has been seriously lacking, regardless if you're in the church or not, is a deep understanding on how the body works. For example, someone left a comment, which, and it was, bless her heart, the lady, she was saying how, her daughter was very sick and was projectile vomiting. And so she said, I think if I'm remembering the comment correctly, she was saying that she basically whispered a quick prayer or something like that. And while the daughter was projectile vomiting, something came out. And then from there, the daughter started feeling well. So to her, she saw that as, oh, it's, God heard my prayer, that kind of thing, right? But here's the reality. Why was the daughter projectile vomiting in the first place? Our bodies, the way they're designed to, the moment it detects something wrong, it's trying to heal itself. And vomiting is, even though it's very uncomfortable, It's our body's way of immediately trying to heal itself. This is before you laying hands on people or whatever. And this is why we talk about like things like pharmaceutical things like that. What it does, it suppresses our body's ability to heal. And not only does it suppress that, but it will also at times make things even worse and create new problems. So while your body is like trying to heal and it's like, yeah, okay, these pills are working, on the back end, this is how evil these people are, it's causing all these other problems. And so now you got to take more pills to take care of those other problems, and then they'll sprout out more. So yes, number one, our environment is extremely noisy. And I think a lot of these things are in fact psychologically related. When you're inundating yourself with all of this stuff, when you live in a noisy environment, I did a video about this a while back where I talked about how silence, being in a silent space for at least 20 minutes or so, you're actually healing your brain. Your brain really is rejuvenating when you're in total silence. Not soft music, nothing like that, just total silence. When you're just in total silence, your brain is literally regenerating and healing itself. And so that's without you laying hands and doing whatever. That's just your body doing what it's doing. And I think we need to learn that first, and then, and then go with that, maximize that. And then again, like I said, ultimately what you want to believe is up to you, but that's the facts. That's the body is designed to do that. The environment, it can cause interference, if you will, but that interference is interfering with what the body is designed to do and what it does on its own anyway. So I hope that makes sense.
Oh no, that does make sense. I understand what you're saying. Because then I would tie it and be like, oh, that's the perfect design from the creator to put it in there to say it. But it is natural and what's happening. So yeah, I do agree with you.
I tell people all the time, just start with that. And then, like I said, what you want to believe is what you want to believe, but let's have a thorough understanding of how our body works. And then I personally, again, I do believe that there is an intelligent designer or designers behind all of this. I do believe that. I just, over the years, I've learned to understand that what the person that they're telling us that it's this person here, I'm learning now. I'm coming up with a lot more questions on that narrative than some other things. So it doesn't mean I'm going to, okay, well, it ain't him. I'm going to worship somebody else. Right now, I ain't worshiping nothing right now. Right now, let me figure this thing out first. I'm not worshiping me. I'm not saying I'm the center, because there's some people saying you're God. No, I'm not. That's not me. That's not me. But I do believe that our bodies, when you look at just how wonderful our bodies are created and all of that, there's no way in the world people just created that on their own. There's no way. And, and so on that note, I'm like, I guess we'll find out on the other side. But in the meantime, let me just enjoy this part of the ride and kind of learn about how my body works and all of that, and just be grateful for that, and that's kind of how I am.
So just to, I don't want to take up too much time, but
you're good. You're good.
On a note, with the Bobo assistant, I used it when we were getting the VA was giving me some drugs for testosterone levels, and I was like, I don't want to take this. So I put that in the Bobo assistant, and it showed me some of the side effects, and it was like blindness and stuff, and I was like, I'm not doing this. And then it reverted me to some stuff that was in the store and how to take it and what to take it. And then it also showed me that it was also in Amazon, and it gave me 3 choices about some stuff to take, because the only reason why I didn't get it from you is your stuff takes a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I'll get the other spices, but your stuff takes a little bit longer.
Yeah, just get it.
Amazon was a little quicker.
Yeah.
But I was able to get it, and then it differentiated between which was the best one to take, and it actually showed it to me.
Yes.
So when you designed that ChatGPT, it was good. And I'm just saying this so others would know it does work.
Yeah.
Use it to your best of your ability. And I appreciate you for sharing that with us. Thanks, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate you calling. Thanks a lot, man. You take care.
All right, too.
All right, bye. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there are options out there. What he's talking about here, let me pull it up for you real quick here. Let me see. That will be, and anybody, you can call in at any time if you want. If somebody else wanted to call here, let me go to what's this? Samba Tree. Okay, Samba Tree. I'm gonna pull it up here, and anybody can use it. It's free of charge, and I created it using ChatGPT. So you got that on the page. Let's see here. We went to, you scroll down. Scroll down. It's going to be right here. It's going to be right here. So this is, we call the Baba Herb Assistant. And then you can type in whatever it is, question you have regarding herbs. What will be a good herb for this? What will be a good herb for that? Whatever. What are some natural things I could do or whatever? And we base it off of Dr. Sebi's information, along with other nutritionists and all of that, is using that as a base. And but it's also pulling from the internet and all that as well. All right. So you have access to this. This is totally free. Nobody's charging you for it at all. This is just our service, and this is just our way of giving back and helping other people as well. We also have, let's see, another one called Pharma Guy. This one right here is called Pharma Guy. This one is, you can put in whatever pharmaceutical that you have been given. Your doctor say you need to take it. Go ahead and just type it in, the name of the pharmaceutical drug that they're giving you. Type it in, and it will give you all the information regarding that pharmaceutical. It will tell you about all the different tests that were run on that. Did it pass? Did it fail? How long it's been on the market? It will also tell you, give you herbal alternatives to that particular drug. And it will give you a bunch of other things too. This is kind of how I programmed this particular GPT to give you by default all that information. Okay. Because like I said, again, our goal is to get our people out of these hospitals and away from these demons out here, because they don't care about you. We got to learn to take care of ourselves. And let's use the technology for this kind of stuff. Right. So anyway, so there you go with that. Anybody else? I ain't going to be begging y'all. I'm not going to beg y'all. Okay. Y'all grown. Again, make sure you remember we have the 20% off sale. And you see me rubbing my nose, y'all. I ain't doing no drugs, okay? This is what happens when you got an overgrown mustache and them hairs be getting all up in there, and it's like, oh, can you stop? Anyway, so yeah, I might have to shave. This thing's getting on my nerves now, okay? I don't know what this is, but it's getting on my nerves. Yeah, so 20% off sale that's going on right now over at Samba Tree. So tomorrow is the last day. So make sure you take some time and go through that or whatever. And that's it. So anything else? It's gonna be the last call. Let me put on a little bit. I'll put on some more music here and because sometimes people be, should I, shouldn't I? I don't know. But anyway, this is something my son put together while we wait, okay? Anyway, any questions? You can put it in the chat, or you can give me a call. All right. Give me your chance, okay? So giving people opportunity, like I said again, you have okay. Someone said this. Here's the question they have here. They said, what is it with the "we all blacks are Indians" conversation? it's really something. Someone else is calling too. I'll get to your question. Oh, dang, I hung up. Call back, whoever it was that was calling. Go ahead and call back. What is it with this we all blacks? I'm gonna turn this off. An Indians conversation. What is it? I'm gonna tell you what it is basically what happens when you have been severed from your culture. That's what happens. And what this has done, unfortunately, is created an entire group of people. We have been constantly looking for who is it? Who are we? Who are we? You know, so I understand that. I get that. And so when you go through our history, you'll see, you know, we've gone through this whole phase of we're the Moors or we're this and we're that and whatever. I remember in the 90s, everybody was wanting to wear like the African print stuff. You know, you just pulling from it. Look, that's African print. Okay, let me get it. We don't even know what tribe it is. We just wanted an identity. We wanted to identify with something. You know what I'm saying? And so now the latest thing is Indian. We're the Native Americans, and you know we were always here and all of that. And so you ask people, okay, well, how do you know this? And they said, well, because my grandmother told me. And then you got also people talking about, well, you know, I got documentation because I actually looked into this. Okay, so you looked into it. And as I've always said, yes, most Black Americans, you're going to find traces of Native American in you, but it's going to be at the same percentage in most cases of white people, of European that's in you, and that also is in your DNA. That is also part of your DNA. So if you're going to celebrate your Native American heritage or whatever, you know, because you got DNA, because in your DNA it blipped Native American, well, you need to do the same thing, be consistent, and celebrate the European that's in you too. You know, because a lot of times, and I was listening to a scientist that was actually talking about this, say a lot of times, you know, black folks will say, yeah, look at my grandmother. She had this long hair. She was an Indian. But in reality, a lot of times, grandmother, the reason why she had that long hair is because of the white that was European that was in her. It wasn't because of Native American. It's also known that a lot of times you had Black Americans during that day to escape the horrors of Jim Crow and everything that came with it. They would reclassify themselves. We talk oftentimes about the Dawes rolls and some of these other things where they actually reclassify black folks, but we don't talk enough about the black folks who also reclassified themselves if they were able to do that, because they were trying to separate. They didn't want to be identified with black because they saw how black people were, you know, being treated. So that's true too. So that's why some of y'all grandmothers, if they did tell you that, you need to have a much deeper conversation with them on that, you know? And if you really want to know, just do a DNA test. But also ask grandmother, okay, tell me some things in Cherokee. You know, tell me some things in Muskogee. Tell me some of those tell me some of these. If I give you some words, grandma, would you remember? Challenge grandma on that. I don't care how old she is. I mean, lovingly, but, you know, challenge her on that. In most cases, grandma ain't going to know. And if she don't know, then you know, pretty much grandma, you know, that's just not, it just isn't. But also talk to your grandpa. Why grandpa left out of the conversation? Everybody talking about their grandmother. What about grandpa? Let me leave you with this. Someone called and I don't know what happened, but yeah, call back. I'm here, but let me give you this one here. I'm gonna have to cut it off because they get into some cussing here, but I gotta give you this one here. Oh shoot. What is that? Oh shoot. I know what that is. Oh snap. Okay. Y'all are hearing my phone. Let's see. Let me pull this up here very quickly and then we will be gone. Let me get this here. Someone has a whole channel calling these people out on TikTok. I'm sending it to my computer now, and I'm gonna share it with you. And then I promise you, we are gone. We are gone. Okay, so let me share it to the computer. Send it here. And again, I have to cut it off real quick, y'all. I got to cut it off real quick. It's right. Is this it? Yeah, this is it. Okay. I got to be quick on the draw here. All right, here we go. This is what's out here.
Grandma said, Grandma said, Grandma said, Grandma said, Grandma said. My Grandma said, Grandma said, Grandma said, Grandma said, Grandma said. My grandma said we are Cherokee.
Look in the mirror, Mother.
I'm just that's what's out here. Anyway, so I think that's it. I mean, I was trying to stick around. And, someone looks like they tried to call, and then I try to stick around, and I guess they ain't gonna call me. I'm out here crying now. But anyway, that's all. It's all good. But yeah, we try to do this from time to time to reach out and just have some real conversation with people. And don't be afraid. You ain't gotta be afraid of me. I ain't gonna bite your head off. But yeah, let's conversate and talk or whatever. And we try to do that from time to time. So anyway, that's it. That's all I have for you. Let me see what Sony is saying here. They left. My grandmother did tell me herself that she was an Indian. My grandmother is going, and I do have the evidence and paperwork. Did say Oklahoma Creek tribe. Ain't no grandmother said that we have our paperwork. Yeah, like I said again, some folks, you are going to have that paperwork, right? But that's only telling one part of your much larger story. What did your grandfather say? You know what I'm saying? Grandma didn't give you your whole genetic pool. She was just one part of that. What about the other part? I don't have any issue with black folks claiming that lineage. I don't have any issue with that. Because if that's part of your lineage, then it's part of your lineage. Do you understand what I'm saying? But tell the whole story about that lineage, right? Tell the whole story. That is where I challenge people with this. Tell the whole story. You want to claim this tribe? Okay, how did this tribe, if you are also, most of you, if you black, right? If you're black, okay, look at the black side, right? Or African side, right? And then go back and ask that tribe, historically, how did you treat black folks? How did you treat this other side of me? Ask that question. And if they're telling you, and more often than not, they're going to say, well, we actually slaved your behinds. We didn't really want you and all that. Then that should open up a little bit more questions for you. Is this something I should be celebrating? I can acknowledge it, but is this something I should be celebrating? Or is this really me about getting a bag? You understand what I'm saying? Be honest. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Don't make things up and try to make it like these people were just in loving arms saying, come here, baby, come up in these bosoms, Negro. Come on up in here. We're going to take good care of you. A lot of these native tribes, they were not like that. They did, like the Lumbee, for example, they were so shattered, by what was going on. They were just taking anybody, black folks included. My people, part of my family, on both sides, trace their lineages to the Lumbee tribe, both sides. But I can tell you right now, the Lumbee they will tell you straight up, hey, listen, we trying to make sure we keep this bloodline pure. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not chasing that. I don't care. Why would I want to associate myself with them? You understand what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, good. Let me lean into the culture that embraced me. You understand what I'm saying? And let me just do that. I'll acknowledge it, but that's about as far as it goes with me. You know what I mean? And that's why I tell people to do that all the time. So anyway, that's it. That's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to this broadcast. And like I said, as always, if you got any questions or anything like that, you can always feel free to just put it in the chat or email us or whatever. And that's it. You guys take care, and I will be talking to you again soon. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your evening, your night, or your weekend, whatever it is you're watching this. You guys take care.